Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Um, I remember when I read this I can't remember where, in what book and who said it, but it doesn't really matter. It matters what this quote is, what it represents. And said something like this. Um, you should be kind of like, I'm just paraphrasing, you should be proud of yourself when your enemy concedes defeat, or you should be, feel better or something like that. You should be proud of yourself when even your enemy concedes defeat, then you are a better one, or something like that. Well, in this case, I think the Russians could feel a little bit better when you hear the Ukrainian reporters talking about Avdiivka in a panicking mode, which is Ukrainian reporters sound alarm on Avdiivka battle. So if the Ukrainian reporters are sounding alarm, that means things are not going very well over there. But don't worry, the Senate sent $118 billion bill to support Ukraine, Israel, and others. So out of that, about $60 billion for 2024 will be allocated to Ukraine. I just made a video on that a minute ago, so go and watch it. And it's about the one-party system in the United States of America. That's how is the title of that. Now, what do we have here? Let me show you this article coming from the New Voice of Ukraine. And they tell us that Ukrainian reporters sound alarm on Avdiivka battle, say Russian forces push closer to defense units. It's okay, the help will come. It's on its way. They will vote for it. I have no doubt about that. Let me show you. This is one of the articles I used. U.S. Senate releases $118 billion bipartisan deal on border security, Ukraine, Israel aid. They should start with that, not with the border security. This is from Sputnik, but I used Associated Press as well, so don't worry, it's not a lie. Okay, so let's go back to our ships here. Russian forces have advanced into the construction zone of Avdiivka, Donetsk Oblast, and street fighting continues in the town. Ukraine journalist Yuri Butusov reported on Telegram on February 4th, today, Sunday. Russian units have gained a foothold on a street on the northern outskirts of Avdiivka, he said. So let's see where this Avdiivka is. This is the map of Ukraine. This is where the front line is, and Avdiivka is in Donetsk Oblast. This is Donetsk Oblast, and Avdiivka is right here. These guys are calling it Avdiivka because that is a Russian map, and it's right here. You see where it's almost encircled, but these guys don't do a good job because did not update it since the 2nd of February, right there. So this is Avdiivka, and they say on the north. So probably here, these guys here in the north, they reached the city in here. So that means they're gonna probably encircle it. I always said this town was lost a long time ago, but nevertheless they still fight because they think they're going to inflict a lot of damage to the Russians, and in the meantime they're gonna have a lot of Ukrainians dead. But hey, I'm not in charge of them. These guys are going to do whatever they feel it's needed. Now let's go to see another map here, which shows us a little bit more detailed the situation in Avdiivka. I like this map better, but it's a little bit more sensitive to use. Let me show you, and this is updated. Let me show you right here. So this is Avdiivka right here, the thing that I showed you here, but this is from farther away, and this is not updated. This is more updated, and I'm going to try to get closer, zoom in, and indeed it shows right here in the north. You see the north that are closer. I'm going to go right there. So this is what I'm talking about. It's very sensitive, this map. I can't get the right zoom on this one, and if I try something else, but this is the point, right? Oh, perfect. Don't touch anything now, mofo. So here is the north. So you see how this looks almost going like this right there versus this map. So obviously these guys are missing where my hand is. That the whole thing misses from the other map right here. So this is what I'm talking about. The guys are alarmed. Russian units have gained a foothold on the street in the northern outskirts of Avdiivka. That's the correct map. And I'm quoting, if you measure in a straight line, the enemy's forward units are about 1.5 kilometers from the entrance to the town, said Butusov. And I'm quoting, 2 weeks ago, the enemy managed to enter 2 streets on the southern outskirts of the town. The situation is critical. So 2 weeks ago, they entered here, the southern part of the town. Now they enter the north part of the town. Now, if this comes from the Ukrainians, that's not good. Now, the editor-in-chief of Censor.net noted that 110th Mechanized Brigade and several other units are fighting the enemy, which is several times superior in strength and constantly has replenishment for its infantry. And I'm quoting, Avdiivka needs fresh reserves and a rotation of units of the heroic 110th Brigade, which maintains control despite absolute exhaustion after almost 2 years of continuous fighting in the town. He said, I'm quoting again, we also need ammunition as supplies are also extremely low and the enemy has a great superiority in munitions. Don't worry, remember what I showed you right here. They're bringing the money and everything, okay, including troops. I'm pretty sure that's going to happen. NATO troops, that is. Butusov also mentioned the inadequate communication and suboptimal use of resources at the operational and tactical levels as a weakness. And I'm quoting, falsehoods in reports at the higher level, a desire to reassure themselves, and fear of irritating the top leadership with bad news are all very harmful. That means they're afraid to report to Zelensky and higher echelons because they don't want to hear it. That means living in denial. Living in denial will prevent you from really acting in real life, which means you're going to fail. Journalist Andriy Tsaplienko said that Russian attack aircraft taking advantage of cloudy weathers and the impossibility of high-quality aerial reconnaissance entered Avdiivka from the northeast. Northeast is right here. Northeast, this area. Russian troops bypassed Ukrainian combat formations and entrenched themselves in buildings. They are hundreds of meters away from the main logistics artery of the Ukrainian Defense Forces. And I'm quoting, but the situation is not yet hopeless, the soldiers say, he wrote. And I'm quoting, if there are infantry reserves with experience of fighting in urban areas, the Russian breakthrough can still be eliminated. In fact, the fate of Avdiivka is being decided right now. British intelligence, blah, 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 reported on January 27 that the Russians would not occupy Avdiivka, Donetsk Oblast, in the coming weeks, as the main supply route to the town is still under Ukrainian control and counterattacks by the defense forces are holding back the Russian advance. So let's see where that supply route is. Do you see any? It used to be right here or right here. Look how close these guys are. Look how close they are from just cutting that off. This was the main supply line, I think, and they covered it. If you look at the other one right here, you see it's clearer. This one right here where my strong hand goes, that was a supply line. Now these guys are all over it in this map. You see, this is the supply line. They're right on it, so it's over. On January 29th, the US-based Institute for the Study of War, with the chief being Victoria Nuland's sister-in-law, reported that the new geolocation footage showed the advance of Russian occupation forces near Avdiivka. We'll see. I think this town will fall before these guys are able to bring troops and equipment in the area. They are too much, too close to one another. I think these guys are going to be encircled, and we're going to have a new Mariupol Azovstal Azov regiment encircled. About 2,600 people were encircled and taken prisoners, or according to the Ukrainians, came out, and they went to Russia to visit. Okay. So here is, my friends, coming from the Ukrainians. Things are desperate over there, but the higher echelon does not want to hear about it. No wonder. The same happens in situations of desperation. If you study the Second World War, you know that the same thing was with Stalin when the Wehrmacht was, 15 kilometers from Moscow, or with Adolf when the other guys were encircling Berlin in March, April 1945. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.